Hey guys, welcome to another episode of LFA Shop. This week, we're going to have a look at Emily's Seoul and see where we got up to. So I made a previous video that showed the process up to this point, but I want to have a look and lay some fresh eyes on it and see what we have left to do. I do have a list in my phone of things that I know that I didn't do, so that's a good start, but I want to have a look and actually just put eyes on this thing, make sure I haven't missed anything crucial. So I've got it up on the hoist here, and I can see a bunch of stuff going on in the front that I did, but I want to have a look underneath first. So first thing that I noticed, turret ends aren't attached, that's fine. The sway bar is not attached because we didn't have one, but I got one, so I'll show you that right here. So in this box is the last piece that we actually need for the Seoul to get it rolling at least. Now this thing with the K3 swap does not have a sway bar that fits, so we've bought a sway bar from Japan, and it actually got here in about 3 days, so not quite overnight parts, but pretty quick. Let's get it open and have a look. So we've got the quality inspector on the job. But this piece is a sway bar from the front of a Copen. So similar to what Mighty Car Mods have turboed recently. This thing clears the K3 in a Seoul. So the original one was hitting in the front with the K3. And then you can go to the sway bar that fits from the Sirion. The front fits, and then this is too wide over here. So without widening the car, you have to like ratchet strap it and get it really forced in there, and then it's still not great. So the Copen, same width as the Seoul, or very similar, and has that clearance for the K3. So chuck this in, and then the car will be able to roll properly. Be able to hook up all the steering and everything. So now that you're back, that needs to get fitted. So that should fit to this subframe and to these lower control arms. We have the turbo drain welded up, which is good. We have an exhaust started. Needs a cat and a flex, because that's all hard mounted so far. So I need to do a cat, which I think we have actually, and a flex, because this thing is going to get engineered, or at least attempted. And then coming underneath, I feel like it needs a drive shaft, but it's front wheel drive. We need an exhaust, obviously, because the rubbers have just been cut off, but there is plenty of room for a muffler here, and another one up here, a little hot dog or something. Or you can run it sideways, because there's actually heaps of room under the bottom of this thing. We've got coilovers in the back that need to get zip tied because this is loose, so I'll do that in just a moment. And the height and everything was set because when Emily first got the coilovers, she was still driving it. So that's all looking pretty good. We haven't done anything fuel pump or fuel tank related, so I'll have to look into that. So I'll grab some zip ties, I'll fix those boots on the coilovers while I'm here, and then we can put this thing down and have a look up top. So I just quickly chuck some zip ties on the boots, and then I got these fancy pliers from eBay or whatever, and apparently they get the exhaust rubbers off. I'm going to need 2 hands for this, but I'm going to go along and take all the exhaust rubbers off. I've got a brush, I'm just going to take all the cobwebs out and try and make it a bit nicer under here, and then I'll put it back down in just a second. Quick report on the Daytona pliers. These were from Sydney Tools or Adelaide Tools, whatever it's called. They're actually not bad. They made this a whole lot easier. Okay, with the car almost on the ground, it's a nice time to stop and have a look at the front end. So, this is a 1.3 litre 4-cylinder K3 engine. This originally had a 1 litre 3-cylinder EJ engine. So what I've done is fitted the K3 from, I think it was a YRV in the end. The subframe is from the YRV as well, I believe. We had to trim some stuff off the front, and then I remade that engine mount so we could fit the turbo feed and drain from memory. Can't 100% remember, it's been a long time since I've done this. So I need to remake this engine mount to clear the oil filter. I removed the extension, so that fits really well now. The other reason was so we could fit this drain to the turbo. So this is the oil feed and drain, and then this one up the front here is water in and out. So this guy goes right up in there. It's super awkward. something like that, and just clears absolutely everything. But it was quite tricky. So a lot of these fittings need to get cleaned up. We've got the oil feed just here, which needs to get finished. We've got the air intake or the filter neck that I need to clean up and finish that off. And then all the turbo is quite loose because I was still clocking it and getting everything right. We may have to mess with the wastegate placement, I can't remember. Currently it doesn't fit to the wastegate. And then we were going to run a 90-degree pipe off of here into the intercooler, through the intercooler into this pipe that we found that was actually the right size. Comes up the back here, and I think we were going to clock that a little bit so that it went up, and then we need to run from there up to the top here. So it's all sort of in place, it's just none of it's finished. So the manifold is all welded up. It's the first seam pipe manifold I made. It needs to get cleaned up and bolted on properly and all that sort of stuff, and possibly even faced, depending how warped it is, I can't remember. So then the power steering on the K3, I remember this from the internet, the headlights actually hit that. So I need to clearance one of the headlights to suit the power steering. We need to get the power steering hooked up. I believe we have parts for that somewhere. There's boxes of parts for this thing. The accelerator cable is currently hooked up, which is good. And then all the wiring is currently missing, which is probably in the car, I can't remember. There's actually a lot of room over here, so we might be able to sneak some stuff into this back corner, try and gain some room. Now we were hoping to hook the AC back up, which may require some fiddling. We'll see how we go with that. And then there's all this wiring here that's just going to nowhere currently, because I think there's a fuse box that mounts in this corner. And I remember the water cooling inlet and outlet from the system was quite a pain, and there was a lot of steps. So I need to work out what I'm doing with that, because there's a drain on the bottom of this one, and then there's a feed on top of this one. So need to just revisit everything really. So I probably need to blow it apart and just check everything, because it's been so long since I worked on this thing. I need to try and hook up the heater again, which is probably what this one was for. And then the wiring is supposed to come through that hole there, which is non-existent. And we need to hook up the link, which we have got. The ECU for this thing is going to be a link, I think it's a Fury or maybe a Monsoon, one of the small ones. I can't remember which one exactly. But overall, most of the foundation is there. It's just a matter of finishing it off. So that will be the plan in the next couple of months, is to get onto this thing and get it fired up. I've got some other things in the works first, but then onto this. I keep saying this is the next project, and then I keep finding other projects. Sorry, Emily. We'll get there. Let's have a look inside. I'd just like to interrupt this video to let you guys know the merch store is finally up and proper. We have all of the stuff. We have air fresheners with the K10 on it. We have lanyards. Plenty. We have so many lanyards with the original El Jefe's Chop Shop logo. We have hoodies like this one. We have a few different Corolla shirts, and we have the basic t-shirt as well, in long and short sleeve. And if you're a sticker guy, there's a bunch of different options. So head over to the merch store in the description and grab yourself something cool. Let's get back to the video. So coming inside, sorry for the horrible lighting. We've got that cat I was talking about, so that's convenient. We've got a link plug. We've got the keys, that's ideal. An exhaust gasket, which is brand new. It's good. Got a Mexican blanket for some reason. This is all sort of blown apart, but I'm pretty sure most of this was actually finished. So this is the boot pop, because these things never had a remote boot release. So we wired that up years ago. Gonna have to fix that because it's disgusting. And I think everything else works. We did have this engine running, but we didn't actually drive it. So it's got the YRV, I believe, steering wheel, the YRV dash cluster, which is slightly different, and I think that's about it. I'll go around the other side and see if there's anything exciting over there. So there's not too much over this side. We've just got everything in place. So you can see all of the original ECU and everything's in there, because we did have this thing fired up and the plan was to drive it NA, and then we just immediately started turboing it. I'm saying we because this is Emily's car, but it was definitely me. So moving on with this thing, I'm going to have to blow a bunch of it apart and actually just see, really. A lot of it's 90% done, but a lot of it needs to come apart to get that last 10% done. We also have a body kit to fit to this thing. We have the link ECU, which I mentioned, so I need to do a wiring loom for it. And we need to get that sway bar on so it can roll, which will be the next thing. And then I might do the exhaust while it's on the hoist. And I'm in the exhaust kind of mood. And then we can put it on the ground for good, I guess. Not for good, but for a long time. And then I can start working with this front end stuff and getting the turbo setup finished. Now before I end this video, I'm going to chuck the sway bar in this thing. Make it feel like I've done something. So I'll chuck this in the air, we'll get the sway bar in, and call it a day. So that was pretty crazy, and I can confirm that the L880K sway bar is the correct one for a K3 in a Seoul. There was a little bit of contention on the internet whether it would work or not, more so whether it was the easy one, because some of them fit really easily and some of them don't. These ones fit really easily, so bolts straight in, fits really nicely, clears everything, and it's good to go. So now the wheels won't flop back and forwards, and I can actually push this thing. So next time I'll come in and I'll hook up all the steering and get everything else ready to go, and then this thing can actually move when I need it to. So that's it for this episode on the Seoul. You'll see this in a couple of, maybe a month, couple of weeks. So I know a lot of you in the early days joined because of the Seoul content. So if you are still around, jump in the comments. Tell me how excited you are to see this thing back on the hoist and ready to go. Finally ready to actually finish this project. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.